me ask you this. Can you hear this? No? Can't hear anything? Yeah. Tinnitus is inside my head and not inside my ear. And in this video, I'm going to explain you everything you need to know about why you're dealing with tinnitus, the way you're dealing with tinnitus, and what you can do about it in the year 2024 to move ahead and get better. All right, so here's the thing. Tinnitus actually happens inside your brain and not inside your ears. And my name is Frida. I was born deaf on my left ear. I've been wearing a hearing aid and experiencing a high-pitched severe tinnitus for 15 years now. And in today's video, I want to share everything you need to know about tinnitus in about 10 minutes. So I don't want to bother you for too long. There's many more things that you can know about tinnitus, but here are the most important things. Number one, tinnitus is in 99.9% of all the cases not dangerous. So you're dealing with something that our bodies as we age is absolutely natural that we do experience it. So in response to some hearing loss that we incur throughout our lifetime, in response to that hearing loss, our brain unfortunately starts to interpret the absence of an incoming signal because you don't hear everything anymore as tinnitus. So the very first thing that you need to understand, and I know that many people in forums will say otherwise, is that tinnitus is in fact something that's super normal and a normal thing that happens to you as you are a living human being. That's the very first thing that you need to know, because that will influence the number two. Everything that you experience with tinnitus, if you experience bothersome tinnitus, it is not your tinnitus that is creating the bothersomeness that you experience, but the way you react and respond to your tinnitus. Think about this way. Whether you respond to your neighbor to your neighbors making noise in a nice way or in an aggressive way depends on what your relationship with your neighbor is. If you like your neighbor and you frequently go out to have a beer maybe with your neighbor or to chill at his house and have dinner with him and his wife, then you're going to be reacting completely different. However, if you do have a problem with that particular neighbor, and then you will react very differently. You will become annoyed. You'll become upset. You might even try to call the cops on the neighbor and tell him to finally shut up and do his work another time. And this is exactly the same thing with tinnitus. See, I've been born deaf on this ear. I've been wearing a hearing aid and I've been experiencing severe tinnitus for 15 years now. I've also worked with hundreds of people in individual tinnitus coaching sessions. And if you want to talk to me in a 15-minute free consultation, then click the link below.
You can directly book a free coaching call with me in which I will tell you how my coaching program helps you. But
I will tell you how you get your tinnitus from the annoying neighbor to the nice neighbor. Because what you can simply do when you are relating to your neighbor in a positive and nice way is the noise doesn't bother you. So the second thing that you need to know about your tinnitus is that most likely you're not upset about the tinnitus, but the way the tinnitus makes you feel. That's a good and a bad thing. The good thing about it is you can change the way you relate and feel about your tinnitus. The bad thing, it's not always your tinnitus that can be controlled, but it's the emotion that you need to learn to control in response to your tinnitus. And that's what people don't understand. People say, oh no, I want a cure. Well, you want a cure to something that is absolutely natural. It's like wanting a cure for a sore muscle. The sore muscle repairs itself. Tinnitus is not something to be repaired. It's a benign body sensation that happens in the brain. And that depending on how alert you are, how much anxiety you have around it, your tinnitus is going to be louder or less loud. The more your neighbor freaks you out and the more the neighbor upsets and annoys you, the more you're going to freak out about the noise that he's actually making. The more you relate to your neighbor in a positive way and don't really mind the neighbor working late, the more you are going to be able to sleep even through the noise of your neighbor. The third thing, and it's also super important, is that you need to get your ears and your hearing checked. Tinnitus is for most people based on some kind of hearing loss, maybe in the super high frequencies that are not going to be relevant to your everyday understanding and to your speech understanding. Hearing tests are conducted with a range of 2 kilohertz up to 8 or 10 kilohertz, but the human range of hearing goes much higher. Therefore, it might be that you have hearing loss in the higher frequencies that are not measured by an objective hearing test at your ENT audiologist, but you might still have some hearing loss that leads to tinnitus, but that doesn't have to be treated by a hearing aid. So it's super important that you get your ears checked in order to establish whether there's a hearing loss that should be treated with a hearing aid or not. And the third thing, and the next thing, and that goes with the hearing aids, is don't let them sell you $3,000 hearing aid maskers if you don't have an indication for a hearing aid. I see and hear this all the time, and I frankly get a little bit pissed. People being made money off for hearing aid maskers, which in fact you could use the old AirPods that you have lying around to listen to rain sounds on your phone. And in the end, you don't want to mask your tinnitus, because masking something that is unwanted is always going to make it unwanted when you cannot mask it. You want to work with your emotional reactivity. Remember what we said at the start of this video. It's not the tinnitus itself, but the way the tinnitus makes you feel that gets and bugs you. So you need to work with your emotional reaction, and masking your tinnitus is running away from this emotional reaction. So how can you work on this emotional? So within my coaching program and within the online course program at mytinnitus.club, so my coaching business is called Outring Tinnitus. That's also the podcast that we have that's been releasing weekly episodes for many, many months and is listened by thousands of people all over the globe. We created the coaching business under Outring Tinnitus and the online community and course section, including group coachings, etc. at mytinnitus.club. So under www.mytinnitus.club, you will find an array of courses, science-based videos on how you can change that emotional reaction to your tinnitus, because in the long run, what you want to be doing is conditioning your brain towards habituating to tinnitus. And this is the next step on my list that you need to know about your tinnitus, is that you can habituate to tinnitus. Once your brain knows that tinnitus has not to be feared anymore, your brain knows how to put tinnitus into the background. And when your brain knows how to put tinnitus in the background, this is, by the way, the same thing that happens when we learn something new. When we lose, let's say we lose an extremity and we get to use a prosthetic. Our brain can get used to that. Fully so to the fact that we walk, and it's not even for our brain to say anymore whether we're walking on a normal or a prosthetic leg after a certain time. And this is exactly the same way that your brain can put your tinnitus into the background, where when someone asks you, hey, do you have tinnitus? And you will say, yes, of course I have tinnitus. I've had it for many years. I hear it in the background all the time. But does it bother you? Not at all. Most of the time, I don't hear it. And for most people who ask me, like, how can I get to that stage? I'm saying, you need to work on your emotional reaction to your tinnitus. And only once you have told your brain the perception of tinnitus is safe and fine, and we have science-based things that we can do that, like cognitive behavior therapy and acceptance and commitment therapy, and if you're willing to put in the work, then you don't need all these thousands of dollars of hearing aid maskers. You don't need all these sessions with expensive guru treatments of infrared stimulation and whatnot. You only need to work on the emotional reactivity that you have towards your tinnitus. And once you have told your brain that the perception of tinnitus is something that's absolutely safe to experience, and you are moving towards living your life in spite of tinnitus, your brain stops categorizing tinnitus as something dangerous. The emotional reactivity goes down, and you can finally be in peace again while still having tinnitus. So I'm asking people, you want a tinnitus cure. You want to cure something in the way that when you have a vision problem, your vision is also in the brain. I mean, yes, you can put glasses, same thing for tinnitus. But if you have a problem with the retina or with the seeing nerve inside your head and the picture that is interpreted in your brain, then you can't fix that inside your brain. You can fix the eyesight in the eye, but not what's happening in the brain, the decoding. And tinnitus happens where the decoding of the listening goes wrong. So what we need to do in order to get better with tinnitus and to habituate to tinnitus and live our best life even with tinnitus, curing it, if you will, even by not getting rid of it, is that we completely transform the way we experience it. And I have done it for myself. I can hear my tinnitus, but I'm not upset about my tinnitus. I don't worry about it. I meditate in silence. I go about my life. I do tinnitus coaching. I work with people who have it. I've worked with 500 plus people by now, helped them to transform their life with tinnitus. So Today, I want to urge you to start something really new in the year 2024. Try to really see what is holding you back. What thoughts and belief systems are holding you to grip with your tinnitus, with constantly fighting it, with maybe putting all your energy into fighting your tinnitus and not leaving any energy left for you to live your valuable life. So I can only say, join our program, reach out to me, schedule a free 15-minute consultation, because we want to help you get your life back on track. We want to do that in the most holistic way possible, taking all the things into consideration, taking into consideration that every single person with tinnitus is individual, and that you really need to know, first of all, it's nothing dangerous. Second of all, you need to get your hearing checked. Third of all, you need to understand your emotions and your reactivity around your tinnitus in order to symbol to your brain that habituation can happen and you can experience tinnitus but not be bothered by it. And then you can experience what is, for me, a cure to tinnitus, not being bothered by your tinnitus, having tinnitus but living your life and not giving an F about the tinnitus being there. And this is one thing that I want to share with you today. So please click on the link in the description below if you check out my podcast. It's for free. It's available on all the major tinnitus podcasts and all the podcast platforms called Tinnitus Relief by mytinnitus.club. And thank you for tuning in. I hope that you had a great start to the year 2024, and I'll see you next video.